Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of Ilegal Mezcal, Houston, Austin, moving because it's the right thing to do, and so much more. For months now, James Douglas III from Ilegal Mezcal here in Texas, we've been trying to arrange a podcast chat. We met randomly, although we have many of the same friends and the same social network. But it took some time. He happened to be in Austin, Texas for a concert, and we sat down and chatted about what is a very, very interesting life that James has had, filled with similarities to myself. So I don't know if that makes it a better chat or not, but it was such a pleasure chatting with James. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this great conversation with James Douglas III.
Well, no. Fortunately, I don't have this problem.
Oh, good.
Because we are aligned with horror. And horror is something that has come later in my life. I had like little glimpses of things as like a kid with like a cousin who, you know, I was feeling bold to watch something like late at night on HBO when like the family was asleep. But I've always been a super scaredy cat when it comes to horror.
Is that right?
Yeah, no, I mean, to this day, like if I think hard about the Leprechaun long enough, like, I can be bothered a little bit. He's my number one, but I've kind of embraced the fun of being scared and just like leaned into it accidentally. I think I went to one too many Terror Tuesdays and then something clicked.
I'm certainly with you.
You know, so but back to your question, we're pretty good about that. He doesn't want to see anything super gory.
Sure, now that I kind of understand.
You know, and we have our own specific things that we like. Like I've recently fallen into body horror.
Sure. Well, we talked about The Substance, right?
Yes, which is, I don't know. After watching it more than one time, it became more comical to me.
That's right.
But in a still very serious, respectable way.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So like I still really loved it, but the like audacity or like this is just absolutely crazy that somebody would just do this. But no, I really am into that now.
I think it takes some time. To confess, I think maybe the reason that I love horror is I have this moment. Now I'm old. We talked about this, right? So I grew up a child of the 80s, and you're just barely a child of the 80s, right? 88, I guess. If I'm doing the math.
But I still claim it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. We're not, I mean, that's only 8 years, really 8 year difference, which is not that much. I remember, so my mom, raised by a single mom, and she was hanging out she was a registered nurse. She was hanging out with some of her fellow workers from the hospital, and we watched the premiere of Michael Jackson's Thriller on MTV together.
So cool.
And we all know that the Vincent Price laugh at the end, and we know when Michael turns to the camera with those golden contact lenses that make him look like a leopard.
Terrifying.
I fucking lost my shit, screamed, cried, and ran upstairs.
Appropriate. It was a lot.
And I won't get into it, but there's at least 2 or 3 other times where that's happened to me.
Okay.
And I think I was trying to reclaim some power.
Oh, well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
to try go back to him, like you're not gonna control my mood.
Yeah,
you're not gonna
back off.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't know you. Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, but that's what I think is kind of interesting about horror, and I do find it like very polarizing. The Substance is quite an interesting thing. I got a friend Jack who is in this industry. There's one kind of horror he can't watch, and I'm curious if this resonates with you. He can't watch religious horror.
Ooh.
See? Is that same with you?
That's a big no-no.
Really? Like The Exorcist, like off the table, right?
Okay, so when I was a kid, my sisters, so I'm like a surprise baby. So my eldest sister's about 12 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
Or 13. And the next one's 10.
Okay.
And I remember them watching The Exorcist, and I was a kid, you know, I'm probably like 4 or 5, you know, and I was eating watermelon. I was just like eating like a water, like just cause, you know,
Sure,
and they encouraged me to swallow the seeds.
What? Why?
I don't know why. I know. I just thought it was. I think I maybe was like trying to be funny or whatever, and they were egging me on. But I didn't know that there was an ulterior motive. And so basically, after I did that, you know, and once Linda Blair is like acting up and going crazy, they tell me that it's because she swallowed a watermelon seed.
Oh my god!
And so I like obviously freaked out, hated it, like, you know, cried a bunch about it. So The Exorcist, I've never actually revisited, but in general, I think because of my like Midwestern, like Christian upbringing, I'm like, if anything's blasphemous, it is especially
triggers
chilling.
a little bit different.
Yeah.
My mate's he's Irish Catholic. So same kind of thing resonates.
I know Jack.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, of course. No, I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hide Jack. Right. I forget. Of course, we probably know all the same people. But yeah, he's terrified.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me for movie suggestions regularly, and I love that. I love talking about movies, which is self-evident here. But he's like, hey, but no.
Yeah. You know the rules.
Yeah, like no religious. Which I think it's really interesting because that really is where our upbringings morally kind of intersect with the horror, and it causes a little bit of difficulty. So I also want to know why, in this state of so many podcasts, not to say that many of them are all that great, but you really, it feels like, have a passion to want to start a podcast. When does this kind of strike you?
I think just because coming from a family where it's full of like a lot of like storytellers. I don't have anybody in my family that can't, like, you know, tell a story that isn't gonna like bring the room in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even as a family, like, you know, even like talking about memories, you know, movies and things like that. And so that's when I feel like at my like top. Like I really love like conversation.
Yeah, sure.
I really enjoy it when my social battery is there.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because that could be quite the opposite. But I've like had so many conversations with my sisters about movies and friends about shows, and like, you know, and I think it probably comes from listening to podcasts. Like I think the first podcast I listened to was about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And it was really dissecting all the stuff, and that was the closest I was ever going to get to like reading a Game of Thrones book. Because you know, I tried it, didn't work for me. But more power to you. Yeah. But when I think it goes back to movies and TV. You know, for me, I'm never ready for it to be over. Like as soon as I watch a movie, as soon as a show ends, the finale or whatever, I'm immediately on the internet. You know, I'm reading the discourse about like what people are saying, like what are people's opinions that are similar to mine or different, or, you know, I just want more. You know what I mean?
Is it because you're an analytical person, or is it because there's some kind of emotional investment that you're still kind of trying to pine, I guess, or to prune and get?
I think, okay, so you remember the movie Cable Guy?
Sure.
I think that I come from a generation of where a lot of us were kind of babysat by the TV.
Yeah.
Like I had like a single like working mother, and like, you know, my older sisters were doing their own thing. And so like I spent a lot of time like watching TV, and like I had, you know, basic cable. So like I had HBO, you know what I mean? Or, you know, whatever. And so I really connected with that character. I thought that I can't remember what the character's name is, but I think that's one of Jim Carrey's best roles.
Oh, Chip, right?
Is it Chip?
Something, yeah.
But like when I'm watching a movie, when I'm watching a show, I'm in it. I'm like fully in it. Like I love the fantasy of it. I love like the escapism of it.
Sure.
And it doesn't even have to be any kind of particular movie, but I'm fully invested, and nothing like sparks my battery like talking about. I think I'm kind of coming to realize what the podcast should be about.
So but anyway, we're ideating the strategy of the podcast.
But I lost my point. I just enjoy it, and it's something very meaningful for me, something that I really connected with and resonated with me, and so I want to do that with other people.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, and I think that would be, you know, working in the spirits industry, you know, a lot of us don't often take time to like do cool things for ourselves, or like have a hobby that's productive, or things that aren't centered around drinking. That's so right, like I want to do something that, you know, sparks joy in that way.
I love that. And in fact, for the friends that I have, like Antonio, for instance, we can always talk about horror movies, and he's sending me memes all the time, vice versa. And I remember I just had this conversation Saturday, and I can talk about whatever. Sure. I don't really like talking about politics, but if we're going to really talk about it as two people without attacking each other, I'm always open to listen. But one thing I will always talk about is movies.
Yeah.
TV. And so, but here's the thing is I have to get, the last time that I did this, it was one of my mates who's into movies as well. And I said, hey, so just so is it okay if this is just a movie date?
Yeah.
That all we do is talk about movies.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, let's go. So that was like, oh my God, it was like just saying I have a kink or something, and it just having something to resonate. But I get it. I totally get it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think movies too, it's a universal way to kind of connect with people too. Because everybody likes a movie. It might not be a horror movie, but some movie, you know. And so you have the voice for it too, because that's part of this whole thing, is that you have a voice, the timbre of it, that people want to be soothed by.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So you got that going for you. I think that that's a good start.
I truly hate my voice. And I know that's going to be the biggest hurdle ever, is like hearing my voice and not like recoiling. But
it's very common. I work with vocalists for 30 years. I've worked with even Megan Webb. I just put that. I've known her for a long time, and she says, I hate my voice. And I said, you're the only one that probably feels that way.
It's crazy.
Right? And so you hate your voice or dislike it, let's say.
Yeah.
But it's resonant and deep, and it's got a good frequency response. So for whatever I know, do it.
Okay.
And don't recoil, as you say, because you're going to have to do a lot of voiceover probably.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to listen back to the voiceover.
Yeah.
That is being laid bare.
This is a horror movie.
Yeah, that's right. That's body horror, right?
Right.
That's funny. So I've been kind of following kind of the places that you've worked over the years, you know, now with Bacardi working for Ilegal. But I actually am unclear as to where the story begins. But you said, as a Midwest kid, I grew up in the Midwest too, partially, particularly in Detroit. I can't find out where you grew up. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a suburb of Detroit.
Oh, what? Which one?
Inkster. Inkster, Michigan. Do you know Inkster?
Yeah. Do you know Canton?
Yeah, of course I know Canton. Yeah.
That's right? Something, man.
That
okay.
Wild.
Yeah, that's really wild.
Yeah, I grew up in Inkster for the most part, and then my mom remarried, and my stepdad worked for General Motors, obviously, in Michigan. Yeah. And so the job that he had was kind of like in quality, and so like we would move from like different plants whenever a new car would go in production, and he was a part of like making sure whatever codes or whatever were followed, and so we moved to Oklahoma City.
That one I think I got. I think I could, yeah.
Right, and we were there for a year, and then we moved to Ohio. We were in Mansfield, Ohio.
My brother's born in Columbus. We lived in Columbus.
See?
This is weird,
I've been following you.
Yeah, apparently.
So
I am older, so that
Point.
counts. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so you know. But no, we ended up so we were in Ohio, and we were only there for a year as well, and then we ended up going back to Oklahoma. Oh. So by the time we went back, I was a teenager. Finished school there, and one of my sisters ended up moving to Oklahoma as well, and finished her degree at Oklahoma. Boomer. And we both wanted to leave, and so we said, Chicago or Austin, and
Austin, yeah,
basically the flip of a quarter, when we chose Austin. So whenever we first moved to Austin, quote unquote, my sister picked where the best school would be, because she has a daughter, and so we were actually in Round Rock. So I was super excited.
That's fine. Yeah,
it's fine. But when you're 23, 24, you're going to Austin, you're super excited about it, and then you're in Round Rock.
Yeah,
no shade to Round Rock, but it's it's not the same. But yeah, so I moved moved to Round Rock, and then after being there for about close to a year, we moved to like Steck.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mopac.
Yeah, that's good. Right?
So And that was kind of like where my relationship with Austin began.
Started begin.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna ask you this because I moved around a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like at least 6 times probably
Mm-hmm.
from the time that I started going to school. So for me, that's actually when I kind of really leaned into music
Mm-hmm.
because I know people that have known their friends since they were a little kid. I'm like, I don't have anybody like that, right?
Right.
Like, I've got people from high school, like barely, but that's really about it. Nobody, maybe from middle school, but you know what I mean? But I always kept having to look within and be solitary because I had to keep rebuilding. And even though the family and stuff, and my brother, but he's younger than me. And then my folks, when you're a teenager, the last thing you want to do is talk to your folks. That's just how it goes. So for you, did you find that you really had to keep rebuilding yourself? How did you feel like, you build some friends, like, all right, we're going into a different school now, we're moving to a different state. Did that have any kind of profound effect on you?
Yeah, I think it's made me pretty adaptive,
Yeah. Yeah.
because like when I left Michigan, I was at the time we were living in my grandmother's house. So it was me, my sisters, my grandmother, her partner, and like sometimes other relatives. You know what I mean? It was a very it was like home base for everybody in the family. And so I went from that to being surrounded by family all the time to going to Oklahoma, where, not only was there a cultural difference, you know what I mean? I just had my mom, my stepdad, and myself. And I isolated pretty quick.
Yeah, that's
and like kind of like how you leaned into music, I kind of leaned in more into like movies and TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when it came to people, the first time it kind of broke my heart, and like I guess like every time it like kind of hurts
Takes
a little less
bit
every time you move.
Yeah.
And on some ends, I'm like, I wish that a kid didn't have to experience that because it is pretty tough for a kid. Right. But on the other end of it, like I can pick up and go, like, and it's nothing.
Right.
Like nothing. You could tell me right now, like, hey James, we need you to go to Chicago, and I will go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I totally understand that feeling because I moved in high school even, which was particularly difficult. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I realized, and I'm sharing, and of course it's through the means of kind of understanding you as well. I always felt like an outcast anyway, because I had like weird things that aren't weird, and weird's good, but by normalcy standards in the 80s and stuff, it's not always great. But I had to build a personality because I wasn't good looking. I wasn't an athlete. I just had to get by on who I was. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because it came, not that part, but the notion that if you're really, really good looking, this is a John Hamm meme in 30 Rock and shit, you can get by if you're good looking. Yeah. You don't have to have a personality. Right. So I imagine you were a gregarious guy. I'm not saying you're not attractive.
You're like, because you're so hideous.
No. That is not. But good catch, though. But
Dick. Just kidding.
Either you were a Lothario and got all the sex that you wanted to be profane, or you really kind of built who you were in a personality. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally.
Does that feel like that was kind of the scenario that you had to really become your own person? You really had to understand, have your own ideas and all of that?
Yeah. I mean, the layers of who you are obviously affect different scenarios and things like that. So like there was always an other for me because like I was a gay kid, you know what I mean? And I never felt like that was okay. You know what I mean? Imagine. Like in, within,
in the 80s, right?
And man, I give my family a lot of credit. We've come like very, very far, and I'm very, very appreciative for them. And like, but it was work for us to get to where we are. So I always felt like different for that reason. And then when I went to Oklahoma, it was such a shock that like, I kind of like just rebounded, one day I just leaned into something in me that I didn't know was there, or either it wasn't there or I created it and unintentionally. And so I became bigger than what was making me feel insecure.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Which it wasn't, I was still insecure about those things, but like you weren't going to see it. You know what I mean? And so I was like, clown. I was a goody two shoes, but like I was gonna entertain you. You know what I mean?
You found
so,
a
like,
way to kind of, I guess, be likable in a way.
Teachers
right?
like me, you know, most of my like classmates like me and stuff like that, except for the ones who like really like clocked the gayness, and you know there was a little bit of like bullying there, but like I was always just as big as the other kids. You know what I mean? So like nobody was gonna like bully, like push me. You know what I mean? But like I definitely was like charming.
Yeah. No, I think
as a defense.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Got to be likable, not for the sake of being likable, but it's because you can't stand out.
Yeah.
You know, or you have to stand out. It's one of those two things. It's kind of polar, right? I think that's really profound, and something that because I know you're Aquarius, I'm Aquarius, and we're actually very close.
What are you, the 8th?
I'm the 4th.
The 4th. Oh, we're super close. I'm the 2nd.
Second. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Groundhogs.
And then Rich he's a late January one.
He barely made it.
Sorry, late February. One. Yeah. There's so many Aquarius in my life, and I didn't really realize that. But I asked Rich this question. I don't always ask people this question, but I do ask Aquarius this question. And for those of you who say I don't believe in fucking astrology, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just for me a template to kind of like understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel largely by your friends, close circle, do you feel understood?
I would say that there are some that like really, really got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I've really like been like, okay, I'm about to show you something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
And like, and for those relationships, like those people are also in places on that route that I took moving around. So like while I did let go of the bulk of a lot of connections that I had when I moved, there are some people that connected with me that like I still, even if it's like a random, you know, Instagram message, you know, like, hey,
still
checking in. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
So I definitely have those.
But it sounds like maybe that's not the majority of the people that know you.
No, yeah. I think that people like have a pretty good idea, but like I'm an extroverted introvert.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I completely
I've totally like leaned into that. And so I think people want me to be like up and 100 like all the time. And I'm like, it really, and the older I get, the like harder it is to like maintain it.
Completely.
Yeah. So I think they get me, but I don't think that they get what being me takes. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's actually pretty brilliant.
I don't know.
I was at a party on Saturday, but I had a couple events. I taught a class at Papercut last week. Went to another product launch. It was a really social week, more than most weeks, really. And I went to a birthday party on Saturday for two close friends. They're truly true friends, and I think probably understand me. I mean, they know me a long time. But the thing is that I realized, and I'm going to say this, and I haven't really said it aloud. I've inferred it to a couple people. I left the party very early because, one, I was like, social battery's dead. I'm like, well, why is that? I could have went like a little bit longer, right? And I know what it is. It's that the people in my life that are regularly in my life, or historically, but for a long period of time, they always have there's always value to me. I always get, and it's not about me getting something because I always give too, but it's these people really enrich my life. And so to talk to people at the same party, but a year later that I haven't talked to since the last party, I kind of don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and that was the thing. It's like, you're cool, but I can't exert so much energy pretending I really give a shit about this conversation. And I'm being really honest right now. Like, this is different, right? Any one-on-one thing I do with the podcast, these are always meaningful to me. Right. But just shooting the shit at a party that I see someone once a year, it's not worth it anymore to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you find sometimes like I'll find myself like protecting myself by like getting out of something because I know that if someone is in need, or like if there's that one sad person at the party, or whatever, like I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I gotta go.
That's right.
I'm like, let me go over here and talk. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I can't not.
That's different.
Engage.
Though. Yeah, because
so I have to.
Because we were that at some point.
Yeah.
Right? We were the folks that no one would engage with, so we had to find a way to make people engage with us as we're moving around. Rebuild. But people that are like fine and married and have kids, I'm sorry, man. And it's just I don't need it. I don't need to expend the energy. But so social battery is a real thing.
Totally.
So for you, being in the industry, I mean, you've been in hospitality for a long time. Eberly, watch shop. Did you work at Jackalope too?
Yes.
Okay.
Both locations.
Fuck yeah. So you've been in this thing for a while.
A little bit.
Augustine too, I think is another place you worked.
I was also a chili head.
Fuck yeah, really?
Yeah.
I love that. And that means you got to show up and be social. You're now repping one of the, probably, I think by sales, one of the biggest mezcals in the world, Ilegal. So what do you do to offset all that socialization? What do you do for you to either reset or to balance what is ultimately the pull of that charge out of that social battery?
I think making like meaningful and impactful like choices, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe not being at everything all the time, but but when I come through, like I come through. I also find the subject matter very interesting. So like it feels less work, like less like work when I'm like talking about it.
Yeah.
And I find like the mezcal community to be so like dope,
It's
like so
different,
great. It is so different, and I hate to be like, because I'm sure I know everybody feels like their spirit or whatever is like
Bourbon's
so
not different.
Hey.
Let's just be fucking honest. It's not.
James did not say that.
I said that.
No, I just there's something so weird and like cool and like family and I have always been like from the island of the misfit toys. And I feel like the mezcal community that I've come across, like I really feel like, oh, we're all like so unique. None of us are the same. We're all so different. We all have so many different backgrounds. I'm really happy where I'm at when it comes to that, for sure.
I think that's amazing, and I think if it's enriching to you personally through education or through the plethora, motley crew of personalities, because it's interesting. I completely agree with you, and that's what I find too with mezcal. It's the most interesting category of any spirit, like ever, in my opinion. But you got it, no buts. And the thing is if you're in a room with someone that appreciates you, like you said, lactic funky when we're picking a mezcal off the wall, you're in a room with people that are like into that.
So fun.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's like finding out that your straight laced neighbor is just like a huge David Lynch fan. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I know now.
Don't let me say it.
I'm not. I'll say it for you. Massive into film.
Yes.
Lynch was an Aquarian as well.
Yes.
And his movies are beautiful pieces of art.
Mm-hmm.
Are they fun to watch? Always. They're not. Kubrick stuff is beautiful pieces, works of art. Are they fun to watch? Not really. There's some certain scenes. So that's kind of, and maybe that's not what you were going to say about Lynch. But I'm saying he's great. But that doesn't mean his work is for everybody or even for me. I think the challenge of watching his stuff. That's the same thing with mezcal, actually. There's certain things, I don't like it, but I can't understand it, so I keep drinking it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love like just being shocked by it. It's like, what can't you do?
Yeah.
What can't you do?
That's the beauty of mezcal.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's a metaphor for us as individuals as well. Don't ever put us in a corner. Don't ever have expectations that we can't be different and that we can't be strange or that we're too straight-laced. Now, probably with you, there's no one saying, well, James fucking so straight-laced. I don't know. I can't say it. Like I said, I didn't dig up any dirt on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, mezcal is a really special, it's the most special category, at least to me personally.
Agreed.
So how do you make the decision? I think you studied a bit at Houston Community College, which we both did. Which campus were you at?
The Highland.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but that's what I studied.
Mm-hmm. I also went to ACC, Rio Grande.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What did you want to be, so to speak?
Well, that is still to be determined. I still have work to do. I am very close to having several mini degrees that are not connected.
Yeah.
But I definitely started out journalism.
Oh, really?
I wanted to do journalism with like a political science.
Do you like writing?
Minor. I thought I did.
Oh, okay.
I thought I did like writing. I like the creativity of it, but I think that my gift, my skill set is this.
Yeah,
it's speaking. You know what I mean? And so it was really hard for me. School was really too regimented for me, and I'm a little loosey goosey for that.
Right, we're just all over the place.
You know what I mean? And so like I'm gonna finish that one day, but you know that is I wasn't gonna waste any more time.
Yeah.
Getting more student loans, you know,
well,
going
sure,
further
and knowing
what's
what's not right for you,
right?
And so is that kind of when you, for some folks, or some guests anyway, when they worked in hospitality, it was the thing that was going to hold them over, I say in air quotes, while they finished their degree, and then they realized that academia wasn't really what they wanted, but then hospitality grew. Is that kind of the same situation for you, or did you say I actually just want to work in hospitality?
For me. First of all, hospitality was like the first source of like independence for me.
Oh.
Because like when I left home when I was like 16, 17-ish.
Oklahoma?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And the first time, like this is way before I come to Texas. Sure. But I was a server at a steak and ale.
Oh yeah, nice.
And which is funny because I wasn't old enough to have a TAB, or it's not TABC in Oklahoma, it's something else. But they liked me enough that they would just have the servers that were old enough run my drinks. And they'd let me still take tables.
Yeah.
So I was making good money.
Yeah.
And so I, got an apartment and everything, did my thing. But why did I bring that up?
Getting into hospitality.
The independence, right? And I always craved that. And I liked something new and a new challenge. And so what would happen was like I took it like kind of seriously, you know what I mean? I was probably, I was like,
great.
And so like I'd always end up in these opportunities where people wanted me to manage, you know what I mean? And it just like kept happening that way. And so like when I go into the next spot, it just management or growth looked different. And then I got to Austin and I got a hold of like something like a little bit more serious, like with cocktails.
Yeah.
And I was like growing with it, you know what I mean? If that makes any sense. So I just then fell in love with like the art form of like, crafting cocktails.
Yeah, I love that.
And it was really fun. And like, I think that I've always wanted my own spot. That's something I've always really liked, but it's my idea is not a moneymaker. Like I wanted like a tiny little hole in the wall, like 10 spots at the bar, but
divey or speakeasy-ish?
Divey.
Got it.
Divey, but you can get the drink that you want.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Best of both worlds.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now that I'm working in this role, it's also opened new doors for me as well about where I want to go with this. And I think that we'll see. I'll say that. I don't have a direct answer for you, but I'm like the ends are going to connect, and I feel like I'm getting close to something. But I've spent a lot of time in my life wondering what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Right, same.
And so I think that I'm on the cusp of it.
That's right. So you're an '80s kid. You know the Karate Kid,
of course.
And so I've used this analogy, and I think it's actually quite perfect. You got Daniel-san painting the fence. So why the fuck am I painting the fence? You got Daniel-san waxing a car. Why am I waxing a car? And when you go through life, you acquire these kinds of skills. You're like, I don't really know what it's good for. But then, in the third act, in the tournament, everything comes together and it all makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think that you will have that aha moment where all of the passions intersect and you really understand what it is that you're meant to do. And not saying that you're not doing what you're meant to do, because what you're meant to do isn't a singular thing for your whole life. It could just be this chapter. You know what I mean? So I love that, though, because it sounds like your curiosity will keep you learning. And this, I know you worked for Southern for a bit, but is this the first like singular brand job that you've had?
Yes.
How do you
feel? First time on the supplier side.
Is it a kind of a shift? Because it's still hospitality for sure, but not in the same kind of way as working behind a bar. Or is it? You tell me.
It's definitely similar. It's definitely similar, but like when you first start doing it, it's almost like Mortal Kombat and like everybody is Shao Kahn. You know what I mean? Like, I think that people who move from the bar side to like commercial, right, versus like advocacy, you know what I mean, where it's like about like numbers driven. I feel like I take that back. For me, it was really hard for me to talk to a buyer because I knew what annoyed me, and
Oh, right.
I could read it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They don't want to
yeah.
talk to me. You know
That's
what I mean? In
right.
the
That's
beginning,
right. Yeah.
and especially when I'm at like Southern, and I'm
Yeah.
whatever.
The biggest.
I have no power whatsoever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And you just can talk yourself out of it. So I had to have enough like time to, say like, well, if you don't do it, then you're never going to hit your goals. And,
Mm-hmm.
so I had to like toughen up, you know what I mean? And just ask the question, you know what I mean? And so I would say that, and then once I got to the supplier side and I'd had those relationships built up, it definitely is way easier. Like I'm having much, much more fun. You know what I mean? I love autonomy. I love having, my own space. I hate being told what to do. I have no idea where it comes from.
Dude, I do
But
too.
I hate it. But I love that I get to own it and it's mine, and like I have a great boss. He like trusts, my vision. Obviously, like he's helping me and like developing me because I'm not perfect. I'm
Yeah,
new to
no.
this.
A good boss will do that. That's the whole point.
But he lets me like fuck up.
Yeah,
He lets
sure.
me make mistakes. He lets me like learn. And so like I'm actually pretty like stoked because this is like our new fiscal year, you know what I mean? Like so it's like a fresh start. And now I get to look back at last year and
Yeah.
see what I did. And now it's like, oh, well, that worked. Keep that.
Yeah.
That sucked. Don't do that again.
I love that. And do you reflect on your life? Not maybe not the whole thing, but maybe the past couple of years. Is that a common practice for you? Self-reflection?
In what way?
That you just take a breath and kind of think, oh man, these last 12 months, this is kind of what happened, or these last 24 months, personally, hopefully positive things,
Mhm.
professionally. Is that something you ever kind of tap yourself on the shoulder in a good way that like I've grown because I'm looking back at what
Yeah.
I've done?
I could probably do better to take a look and
Sure,
see
sure.
how far I've come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure. But like, I think that in this industry, it's like it just never stops. So
Uh-huh.
like I'm like I can't look back because I'm like I got shit to do.
You gotta look
You know what I
forward.
mean?
Yeah.
And I like that. Like I hate to be like one of those people who they say they're ADHD. I feel like everybody says that, but I genuinely I'm like I think it's I need
Stimuli.
I need that. You know what I mean?
I
Or you're gonna lose
understand
me. You know what I mean?
I can, you know what? Like in these interviews, because she says this, but we'll just say that she says this. But I can see the ADH look in people's faces
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have it. I have probably OCD. I'm not self-diagnosing, but I'm more of the obsessive type. I get super focused, and I just like can't. Nothing's gonna take me up. And I know that's part of the the hyper part of ADHD. But I can tell with certain guests, I'm like, I can see their brain moving, and they go, and then they hop over. I'm making these pantomimes that you can't see because it's a microphone. But that's good, man. Like I get to the point of kind of looking forward, but I do want to ask you, maybe not always looking backwards, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
In let's say the past 2-3 years, is there a way that you've really, really understood within yourself that you have changed or grown?
Yeah.
What is that, you think? Or in which way is that?
I have kind of I don't know where it came from. I mean, it's a common saying, but like one day a voice in me said like just put one foot in front of the other. Like just keep trying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And working on this side of the bar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was very challenging. You know what I mean? I'm comfortable behind the bar. Like
Yeah,
it's
right.
as soon as I go back
Lots
there,
of
it
experience.
comes right back. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? But this was like so uncomfortable. You know what I mean? There was I went through a lot of growing pains, and I still am. But if I'm honest with myself, it's like I couldn't do the things that I'm doing now 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
couldn't, I couldn't see that, and it's funny because you can't see the forest for the trees, but it's like, oh shit, I'm over here now. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, I never thought this was possible for me.
You've been
You know what I
running
mean?
in a way, and you're like, oh shit, I'm in a whole different zip code.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. And I'm very thankful and very blessed that like I'm in a role that like there's lots of opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Because I don't think it's because of my project as much as it is about how hospitality shifts just appear, and it's hard to have like kind of a normal schedule, I'm and we're Kay and I, we're really, of course, trying to obtain balance and see each other as much as possible and all that. But do you find it's easy to have that balance with your personal life and your partner as well, because a lot of it involves drinking. Doesn't have to, but it could. A lot of it probably is late nights and things. Is that something that is easy for you to maintain as well? That balance, or
No, I'm so bad at it. I will always choose work. It always happens. It's never failed. Like I will always, and even if like I'm not going to work or doing the thing, I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean?
I
And
know
so
what you mean, yeah.
if I found that the easiest way for me to disconnect is to not be here. You know what I mean? I have to go to Mexico.
Oh,
I have
got
to.
it.
I
was
have
like, wait a
to.
minute, yeah.
I have to completely
Oh my
unplug.
gosh, there's
You know, no phone.
I get it.
You know,
What is interesting, and I have a friend, another Grace, is exactly like that.
mm-hmm.
It's the only way to reset.
Mm-hmm.
Is she goes to Oaxaca fairly often. I find, because do you consider yourself a creative person?
Yes.
In which aspects?
In a theater kind of way, even. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
a creative person in the sense of like creating the atmosphere. I think that I'm good with people.
Yeah,
You know what I
sure.
mean? I think that when you like let me in, like it takes me a minute to like, figure people out.
Yeah.
But once I lock in with like people, I usually it works out. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And I think that I'm a host.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Of
yeah.
sorts, a counselor, you know what I mean?
We're talking about this conversation because it kind of feels like that's what we're talking. Maybe a little bit of role reversal, but this
right? Yeah.
This is see, now I know why you want to do a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of these things, counseling, psychology.
Yeah, I find it interesting. I both 90% of the time I like love people. Like I find them interesting. I think I love to talk. You know, like I said earlier, I love getting to know people. I love like just laughing with people or, whatever. But then, there's when that battery's gone, it's like if I see a person, I'm gonna scream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not good about work-life balance during the day-to-day, but like I'm generally good about once or twice a year, like going to Puerto Rico or like you know what I mean? Just
disconnect.
Just don't. Yeah, I'm out.
It's interesting is, and I'm gonna ask a fun question after this. We've been going pretty, cerebral, but I knew you could. I know you could. We go toe to toe in that way. I just had a feeling. But for me, the more that I can create and output things, whether that's distilling something, whether that's making a fragrance, whether that's using my hands, these tasting kits I showed you, that to me somehow is my escapism. I do still need to get the fuck out of the country, but I had a lot of opportunities to do that last year. But somehow that helps too. Making a record like that takes me out of this day to day, which sometimes becomes so rote, and so programmed. But this is a question I was thinking about and I always love this because you have no idea what I'm going to ask you. It's a really nice position of power, so to speak.
Gotcha.
So what do you really love the most about Jim Kelly?
Oh, man.
See, I can see you're caught off guard.
That's so crazy. I'm like, I don't even know where you would have even found that.
Sure.
I mean, he was a black man, big old afro, martial arts, kicking ass. So I really love Jim Kelly and I really love Ty Monk from The Last Dragon.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe growing up in the area where I grew up in, like hip hop, like is like really important. I feel like there's like Wu-Tang and like the like martial arts like crossover.
Yes, right.
Like Mortal Kombat was like so huge when I was a kid, and like I just wanted to like fight shit. I wanted to kick, I wanted to punch.
Yep.
Like I loved Power Rangers, I loved that. But Jim Kelly was like the only person that I like that was doing that I saw. You know what I mean?
Incredible.
And I was just really impressed. Like I just felt like, hey, I could kick ass, So I loved Jim Kelly. I loved Ty Monk, like I said, and then I also loved Christy Swanson because Buffy is like my absolute
Christy Swanson. That brings back some memories.
Buffy's my shit.
I love
the show. Love the movie.
You hear they're remaking it finally? Not remaking it. An extension.
They're extending it.
What do you think? You kind of conflicted on that? Or?
We've had such a long run of rebooting and extending things, and they've been all terrible. And I'm like,
Did you watch Party Down?
Some of it, not enough.
Just because that one is one that comes to mind that recently got, after however many years got rebooted.
Yeah.
I guess.
How was it? Did you watch it?
I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was clever as fuck.
Mm-hmm. I love the bow ties.
Are we having fun yet? Anyway,
huh?
No, and then Adam Scott's done great since.
He's so good.
He's really good. Obviously with Severance too lately. I haven't seen it. I watched season 1, and I'm gonna again say a thing that I don't want you to have to say. Season 1, albeit ended nicely, it could have been a movie, and I would have been fine with it being an hour and a half.
Okay.
But now I hear season 2 is what you would want season 1 to be in terms of pacing. I think you would like it.
Okay. But yeah, I know I would.
I'm sure. It's just hard to sit through, man, honestly.
I just have moods, and it's like, I know I'm coming back to this, but not now. I'm watching The Pit. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, did you finish The Pit?
I have not.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, dude.
I know. I have.
How many episodes did you get in there?
1.5 left.
Okay, so we can talk about
I'm almost there.
Is the mass shooting event episode where everybody starts rushing in, is that not one of the most stressful things you've ever seen?
It was super intense.
Jesus.
So good. We never see anything like that. So my partner is in healthcare.
Oh.
So I know that people have talked about how like accurate this show is.
Right. It feels that way.
And it's so funny because I'll be watching it and he like walks in or out of the room or whatever and he's like, oh, endometriosis, obviously. And then he walks out and then my endometriosis. And I'm like, oh my God, how did they know? And he says like, it's like super, super accurate.
Yeah.
It's good. I had to pick The Pit because I couldn't watch The Bear. The Bear was giving me PTSD.
I've heard that.
Bad. Yeah. I couldn't get through it. It was like stress. Yeah. I could not watch it.
Like just paralyzing stress, right?
No.
That I had never worked at a restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. So The Bear, even with that notwithstanding, I was still so goddamn anxious riddling, right? Like it was crazy. But great performances. But again, that show, the latest season, I can't remember if it was season 2 or season 3. They're all just kind of vignettes. It's not all really connected. Mm-hmm. But The Pit kind of being just hour 1, hour 2.
Yeah.
I've never seen a medical drama like that. And Noah Wiley just fucking shows up.
He's so good.
He's so good.
They're all good.
I know everybody in that show is amazing. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, of course, see this. We're just trying to do a dry run for the podcast we're going to do about movies and TV shows. And Noah Wiley, I hope.
Yes.
One of the most likable guys on TV.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
I would trust
him. He never misses.
He never misses. And if he's like, I'll take care of your dog. I never met you, Wiley, but I trust you. I trust that guy. I don't know why that is. So how did this opportunity with Ilegal come about? Obviously, you've spent many years behind the bar. And actually, before that, what was the move to... Why did you move to Houston? What was the impetus there?
So I was running a bar on Rainy Street during COVID. And we went through the whole, because Rainy Street's like all bought out, like big companies, all that kind of stuff. Like it's like the best time of the year. It's like the Super Bowl on Rainy. But everybody pulled out and we closed the bar and we thought it was going to be a week or, maybe 2 weeks, whatever. And then we reopened with like all the rules and everything and like things that we had to do. And I was really like on it, I was scared, you know what I mean? Like I wanted people, I thought it was ridiculous that we were even open, but it's like, it's my job and I'm going to do it. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Work's number one.
And it kind of like fried me, like fighting with people all day to like keep their mask on, please sit down, please, do all that. And, and other bars are just like saying, fuck it, you know what I mean? And they're packed, you know what I mean? And I'm like following these rules. So it was really frustrating. And then we closed, you know what I mean? And then they opened the bars back up. And by the time, you get that time. And fortunately, I worked for these guys that paid us, for most of that time. And then they ended up getting a loan or whatever. And then they paid us that way. But when I came back, I had that time away and I was like, I can't do this. You know what I mean? Like I'm pouring all into this and like it's not like giving back. And partly because I wasn't, doing anything for myself. Yeah. But if I wasn't at work, I was at home in my apartment, like in silence. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I quit. I let them know, I'm like, I'll give y'all 60 days, 90 days, whatever. Like you've been good to me. Like I don't want to like leave it. But I'm out. I'm over it. And so that's when, so I left, and I went to, so my partner had a job opportunity in
Oh,
Houston,
okay.
and I was ready to get out. I mean, I had been in Austin for almost 10 years at this point. Like, I
Yeah.
was like,
It's enough.
I was ready to, that's the longest I've lived anywhere in a long time.
I know that.
You know what I
feeling.
mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So I was ready to go. So he moved here from New Zealand years ago, and bought a house years ago and always rented it out. And he's like, "Well, I have a house in Houston. I have the job opportunity. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah,
Let's go."
So we went. And so I started working at this place called Houston Watch Company in Houston. Great place. Love that bar. Actually just guest bartended there because
Did you really?
Their 10th anniversary was this past Sunday, and everybody who had bartended there before popped in.
That's great.
But anyway, really fun, but like I still needed some space from the bar.
Yeah.
And so one day, like on a whim, I was just looking at, I just like Southern Glazers. I just picked one.
Yeah.
And they had an opening, and I submitted my application or whatever because I'm like, let's just see, let's try it out. And I got a call like maybe like an hour or two.
No
later.
shit.
Yeah, and got the job, did it. It was so different, such a shock. But I did that for about a year and a half, and it wasn't really for me. But I, there's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't like, it was a little bit too restrictive for me personally.
Yeah, right.
And so I was gunning for supplier roles, and like in our division, we did Bacardi and Heaven Hill.
I see.
So those are the two powerhouses that we repped, and I was close with both sides, but there was more opportunity for me at Bacardi, and I had a good relationship with, and I actually applied for a couple things, but then I had been waiting for the Ilegal role to open up.
Yeah.
And they had, so basically in the Bacardi acquiring Ilegal, they like kind of like freeze everything. So anybody who worked for Ilegal, like you had to just like kind of wait it out. Some people didn't want to wait it out. So the people in my market left. And so I applied for it because I really, 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 really wanted it.
Yeah.
I ended up getting that and another job. And it was like I had to like pick, it was like I knew what I wanted. I won't say the other job.
No, okay. You don't have to. Did you flip a coin though?
I did not flip a coin.
Okay, so
because I knew what I wanted.
All right, okay.
And so I took the gig. I was really excited. Big shoes to fill. Oh my god! Like the people that were before me are like legends, and I love them both. Unfortunately, not the competition, but I'm everybody that we're competing with. I really love everybody in this game right now.
Yeah,
so
man.
it's really nice. It's fun competition. It's not weird. But that was how I got to Ilegal, and it was nice because like my boss now I had known prior, and it was nice to like get to reconnect with him and like and now I got to have, because I'm Central and South Texas, so like I'm Austin and Houston, so I still get to get my like splash of Austin, once a month, but then I get to go back home, So
I love that.
It's perfect.
How did this 60 minutes segment help or hurt? Did it create more awareness about the brand?
Okay, so it definitely did. It was great, but for me personally, it was the first time that my mother understood what I did, and I was like, I've literally told this woman 1,000 times the brand I work for, why I'm in Oaxaca, like everything from start to finish. And my mom calls me and she's like, Jimmy, and my mom calls me Jimmy. My whole family does. She's like, Jimmy, I saw this thing about that mezcal. And she's like, it was just so, I saw it on 60 Minutes. Is that like what you do? And I'm like, that is literally the brand that I work for. Like, you have not listened.
Man, that's
so it was nice for me personally that it really connected like those dots for my family and myself. But yeah, it was great. It's so cool, and it's such like a cool tool to like show people who like a lot of times you talk about the brand, you talk about the juice, you talk about that, but like particularly with mezcal, the culture, and the tradition of it is like so sick, so cool, so wonderful. And it's nice that like you get to see like the family, like, and get to know them a little bit more. The Hernandez family. And unfortunately their dad actually just passed away like 2 weeks ago.
I don't know.
But so cool.
Yeah, it's almost full circle in a way, right? You kind of went off in this tendril and this other kind of concentric journey. And then all of a sudden it pops mainstream, and your mom's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
My mom asked me something. It gets a very similar thing. She knows I've been in this industry a while and I make this and that. And she's like, so is it when you put the tequila in the barrel that it gets its color?
Oh,
and I'm like, oh, right. My
growth.
mom gets it. And then she's like, or is it glass that does that? Because we talked about all this shit. But it's just fun. And I think mezcal will kind of see its moment. I'm not like a huge fan of talking about, not because it's not important, but sustainability and stuff. Like, I don't want to get in that conversation because there's things that people don't talk about. They really just talk about replanting and stuff. But there's the water, there's the bagasso, there's like all this other stuff, the wood, But I know that I hadn't had it yet, and I'm gonna sip some once we wrap. But how is the new? Because this is the Caribbean cask, right? Is that How is it doing?
It's doing really well. It's dope. It's something really fun to play with. So it's like a regular repo, right? Yeah. But this one's a little bit higher proof. This one's 84. Nice. But after we aged it in the ex-bourbon barrels for like 4 to 6 months, we then let it rest in a Bacardi Ocho rum barrel for 2. We go. Yeah, so you get that cool rum influence on it. It has been a really good like tiki play. I know that people lean into like more fruity, like like coconut, things like that. There's actually a company that I love right now called Strange Water. They do a sparkling coconut water.
Oh, interesting.
And I'll make a highball with that. It's really nice.
Sounds incredible. So I always ask these questions. I got 2 questions left for you. One, and you can't say Jim Kelly because we had our deep dive about your fondness of him.
Fair.
But so I want to go music actually. So you're sipping the Caribbean cask Ilegal or anything that you want, but it's just that bottle's in front of me. You're anywhere in the world, and actually you probably have heard me ask this question before because if you listen to the podcast, but who would you like to have a drink with, living or deceased, but a musical artist?
A musical artist.
Drinking mezcal with.
I would say Nina Simone.
Oh, okay. All right.
I find her outside of being like out of this world talented, I find her to be like one of the most entertaining people like ever. I think
I love that.
She is like, or she was like such a presence. There's an interview with her, and I don't remember the context of it, but basically the interviewer is asking her like, is it true that you pulled a knife on these execs in Sweden or whatever? And she's like, no, it's not true. I pulled my pistol out. He owed me money, I think that she would be a hell of a time. That's brilliant. I think that would be sick.
I've asked that question hundreds of times. No one that I can remember at least has ever said Nina Simone. And that's a brilliant throwback. Incredible talent, like you said. Okay, so last question for you. And then we, maybe you'll open a bar, wink, wink, maybe you won't, I don't know. But I like the concept, I like the thought of you opening a bar. That feels very cool. But any next immediate chapters for you in the life, whether it's traveling or taking Ilegal to different markets, what's next for you?
Like immediate growth in Texas. I'm really wanting to both grow the brand in Texas, but also want to grow its reach.
Sure.
Like right now, like I'm obviously focused in San Antonio and Houston, but I want to challenge myself to like push outside of that. Yeah. I have a counterpart that's in Dallas, Gabby. She's North Texas, basically. So, and she has that one, and I've got the Central and South markets. I want to like branch out wider.
Yeah. Who's got El Paso? Anybody got El Paso?
Me, technically.
Nice.
Yes, I'm gonna go to opening day of the Chihuahuas game.
Dude, you gotta go.
So excited.
One of my favorite cities.
No, I love El Paso. But growing the brand, and just like as far as next steps, I'm kind of like getting in my like pocket, you know what I mean, with this. So like I'm not ready to like do something next yet. I really want to get really fucking good at this. Like I've shaken off some of the like first year jitters and things like that. And now it's like I want to fucking play.
No, I love it.
So I want to grow. I want to grow.
Yeah.
So
it's great. I am so excited that you were excited to do a podcast with me. Not everybody gives a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess at this point, like people will say yes because they want to do. It's more than just like being on a podcast. It's like kind of different. This is always a conversation,
Yeah.
And it was really a pleasure because it's like a blind date kind of. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we've never met.
Yeah.
We have many similar friends and all of that. We both know mezcal and all of that. But I don't know how you are. I don't know what you're about, And so to get even just a small peek into that for me is really a privilege and a pleasure. So, James, I appreciate you taking the time out and coming into town and shit, man. We're going to drink some of this mezcal, but I really appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Yes,
All
I
right.
would love that. Thanks,
Perfect.
man.
Cheers. Well, there we have it. James Douglas III repping Ilegal Mezcal here in Texas, Austin, Houston. Finally get to sit down and chat a little bit of horror, a little bit of agave, a lot about how we moved as kids and what that does to define us. And of course, I had to bring in 70s action exploitation films into the conversation. Finally get to try the Ilegal, the Caribbean cask finish. It's quite good, you know. I think a lot of people have their preferences about barrel aging of mezcal, drinking it without barrel aging. I don't care what you do. You do it. Just don't tell me what to do. So thanks, James, for taking the time out for everyone here to maybe get a preview into what your podcast might be like. So thanks, everybody, for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter if you're thinking, is bourbon or rye wild turkey better? Or if you're thinking, I love this British show about slumlords that I'm watching on Amazon Prime, please keep dancing.